Hi guys, Invisigoth here. We are just past the 2.5 hour mark, and so that to me indicates that this would be, let's see, 6, 7, the night on the 8th day, I think. 3 days per hour, and then the first 20 minutes would be the 7th day, and so this is the night of the 8th day. So definitely not getting the number of Ender Pearls that I had hoped for at this point. Not for lack of trying. It's just one of those things. What are you going to do? So, more hunting, more running around looking for Endermen. There we go. And you'll also notice that I am frequently finding, for the most part, finding single Endermen. That is really less than ideal. According to the wiki, they spawn in groups of 2. And you can see there was another one, I think, teleporting around just now in the rain. He probably didn't make it to the desert. He probably went off in a different direction. But this guy's here, so I'll kill him. Let's go. Right now. Let's do this. Boom. Ideally, you want to find Endermen in groups of 2. Sometimes you'll find groups of 3 or 4. According to the wiki, and this is straight out of the wiki, that means that you're seeing 2 groups of Endermen that just spawned right next to each other, and maybe one of them teleported away, and that's why you got 3. So, for all intents and purposes, you're only going to find Endermen in pairs, and at least in this run-through, this speed run, I often found them alone, which means that one of them teleported probably down to a cave under the ground, which kind of sucks. And I guess in that respect, some deserts might be better than others, because if you have a lot of caves, you're going to have fewer Endermen on the surface, even at night, because they do actively look for places they can teleport that are, and they don't care whether it's a surface or not. If it's in a cave, that's fine with them. So you end up losing a lot of Endermen if there's a lot of open areas underneath your desert, a lot of caves and caverns, and you know, I suppose if there's an abandoned mine down there. I didn't dig around much, so there could easily be like an abandoned mine, in which case it's probably no wonder that I was not getting as many Endermen. If I was in an area with relatively few holes at the bottom, it was mostly solid rock and ore deposits, then you would actually get more Endermen up top. And I guess if you had the time, which I wouldn't have in a speed run, but you could even go down and, you know, basically close up those caverns, or, you know, make it so they're only 2 high ever. Not a practical solution, but I mean, dealing with what I have to work with here, I'm just kind of grasping at straws as to how to get more Endermen. There's no easy way. And I can't imagine this whole area, this whole country. There are at least 2 big desert areas that I've been hunting in, and I can't imagine they're all just chock-a-block full of caves underneath the surface. I'm sure there are caves here and there, but I literally can't explain finding so few Endermen. I have played other games where I get, across the board for 37 actual attempts, many of which didn't last more than 10 or 15 minutes. Well, not more than that, but probably 1 or 2 days of game time, so 20 to 40 minutes. For various reasons. Or they just became, and that's not even counting all the times where I generated a random world and it was like an island without any trees or something, which I just completely invalidated and then just got a new random world because it was just not workable. But yeah, across the board, I would say I average about 2 Ender Pearls a night. So this is way low. This is underwhelming. And yeah, I mean, there's, again, not for lack of trying, but there it is. If you can't get the Ender Pearls, you can't get the Ender Pearls. It pretty much just fucks up the speedrun. And you probably won't know that you're not getting the Ender Pearls until you're about 2 hours in. So, that's an added bonus. makes it that much more awesome. But this did at least give me time to collect some experience, to get an enchanting table, and actually later on here I will actually go so far as to build an anvil, because I have kind of a surplus of iron that I'm not using. And as it turns out, I was able to, later on in another episode or two, you'll see I got a shitty Power 1 bow off a skeleton, and I just combined that with my Power 1 bow and got a Power 2 bow, and that helped a lot with the dragon. And as it turned out, I was pretty tight on the arrows when I went to the dragon, so if it hadn't have been Power 2, I might have had to resort to a sword, and you don't want to have to do that if you can avoid it. Much better to just kill the dragon with arrows and be done with it. Yeah, a little too risky getting that close to the dragon. So, once again, bit sheltered, piss someone off, with a sword, hope for the best. There, I got a pearl, so that's cool. I like that. And I think, honestly, from this point forward, my luck does turn, and I actually have at least one really good night where I get a bumper crop of pearls. So it's not all bad news, folks. Hang in there. But again, it really did hurt my time, and if I had had a little bit better luck in these first couple of nights, it would have made a huge difference. So you can see out there in the distance is was my original spawn point out in the plains. I do always want to keep track of my original spawn point, just so that I can figure out where the stronghold is. Get away! For those of you that don't know, I'm sure most of you do know this, but for those of you who don't know, the axe is the second best weapon after the sword. Actually, this is where my luck started turning, right here. If you don't have a sword, get an axe, man. A total of 4 guys at once. Then I just accidentally, hey guys, I want to hit you something. I got 4 tools out of this. It's 2 for 2, 3. And I was just like ecstatic at this point because finally the dam had broke. I mean, that is like 2 nights worth of pearls. That's awesome. Just from that one encounter right there. You got to have a little bit of bad luck, a little bit of good luck with your bad luck, right? It's got to come out in the wash at some point. So, this is basically where I had hoped to be at like day 3 or 4. Not day 7. Or I guess this may even be 8 at this point. Yeah, we're like at the 240 mark. Yeah, this may even be day 9. So, let's enchant our bow, finally. I should have done that first, but the simple truth is I'm not actually shooting a lot of arrows. So, really, the sword is probably the best thing to enchant first. At least I'll get the extra sharpness. You're only going to get sharpness 1 at level 8, unless you get super lucky. But the sharpness helps with the Enderman, and anybody who, you know, gets in my face. If I get jumped by a skeleton or a creeper, I can at least, you know, do something about it. Alright, so, heading back to the nether. Trying to grab our 8. And I wanted to double check to see. I knew I had a couple of blaze rods. I wanted to know how many I had. So I have 1. I need 7 more. So I found a fortress. It's not really far away. It was just a little bit not clear how to get there at first. And another thing I have found is it's often the case that I'll be looking for another fortress, and I'll hunt around, and then I'll finally find one far away. And as I'm coming back to my base, I'll see something that's close. It was just hard to see from the angle I was coming from. So it's kind of a pain. Walked right past it. There you go. Just want to be a little bit more careful. Put a little bit of a railing here just in case I got some heat on me as I'm running away. What I'm basically going to do is look around. I'm going to kill any miscellaneous blazes that I see, of course. But I'm really hunting for a blaze spawner. You can't really kill the 16 or more blazes you need to get those 8 rods easily by just getting random spawns. Basically what happens as far as spawning goes is these nether brick blocks are they specify an area where mobs can spawn. That's blazes, zombie pigmen, or ZPMs as I like to call them, Stargate fans, skeletons. The wither skeletons will spawn in most of the time. Every once in a while you get a regular skeleton with a bow. And those guys have really fucked me up before because I don't expect to see them usually. So you get basically spawns in darkness. Now, I don't know about the magma cubes, but I do know that the wither skeletons spawn in darkness just like surface skeletons. But blazes will spawn in at basically every light level short of torches on every block. And for those of you who don't know, that's how you disable a blaze spawner. If you're setting a blaze grinder up in a... You basically flatten out... There we go. Blaze spawner, finally. So I kind of tighten it up and make sure that I have sort of an area to work in. And I'll block off some of these other side corridors that I don't need. And I'll try and get... Oh, ran out of stuff. That was a bad time to be unprepared. So run, hide, cower, snivel. Keep stepping in fire. That's not good. Alright. See, I mean, that was a lot of fire. He did quite a bit of damage melee, I think. I didn't go back and watch the video to double check. I believe he did. So, between the fire that I stepped in and the fact that I was on fire and the fact that he was close to me and probably got in a melee hit, or maybe it was just his initial projectile that set me on fire in retrospect. Anyway, doesn't matter. But the idea here is to make it so that they come after me. I'm close enough so they're spawning like crazy, and they come after me at a reasonable rate if I'm close enough and if I'm killing them. And I can hop in and grab the occasional blaze rod. I found this to be the best approach for me to just kill a bunch of these guys quickly and get the hell out. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. When I hit 8 blaze rods, I'm going to turn tail and run. I'm not worried about fighting anybody. I just want to get to that portal as soon as humanly possible and get the fuck out. Once again, I'm doing this so no wither skeletons sneak up on me so I can get out, but they can't get in. And getting back to the disabling a blaze spawner with torches, a good rule of thumb, it's not technically true, but a good rule of thumb that I use is if you find a spawner, that spawner can spawn in bad guys in roughly a 4-block radius. So if you count from one side to the other, you've got 4 blocks, and then the spawner, and 4 more blocks. Now, there's a particular side that usually is 3 instead of 4, but it doesn't matter. If you do 4 blocks, you've covered every possible spawning square. So, like in a place like this, you would make sure that either they can't spawn at all, or there is a torch in every block in basically a 9-block diameter square. And, well, you get it. 9 blocks on a side square. It's not a diameter, but anyway. And if you do that for a blaze spawner and you have, you know, whatever, 100 torches or whatever it takes to do that, at least a stack, I would think. A little more over a stack. If you do that, you can completely disable a blaze spawner, because any light level, even in a block next to a torch, is a low enough light level for a blaze to spawn. So, little known fact for those folks who may not have run across that one before. It can be really handy if you're trying to, for instance, add a roof on one of these open things like this one. I think this one has an open roof, but they've been coming down. No, it doesn't. Anyway, but ones that are completely exposed and you have gas flying around and all that crap, you just want to close it in. Put down those torches first. Make sure when you do any sort of changes, you make sure you keep putting torches down every time you create an area the blaze can spawn in at. And that's really the only way to be safe. I mean, you could, you know, get a potion of fire resistance or whatever, but the only way to stop them from literally spawning is to put torches down at every single possible spawn location. And just for the record, creatures that are too high can spawn in. They can spawn in any area that includes the horizontal level that the spawner itself is on, as well as 2 blocks above and 2 blocks below. So in some of these blaze spawners, you actually have 2 blocks below, and 4 blocks away is like, I guess I got my 8, so I'm getting the fuck out. There are areas actually outside of the nether brick structure that blazes can spawn in, and that can be really tough when you're trying to farm them a little bit, because your blazes spawn outside and then you can't really get to them, and if they're over lava, even if you do kill them, you're not going to get the blaze rods and experience. And if they're still sort of floating around, they're going to prevent the blaze spawner from spawning as many blazes. I mean, having some blazes in the area makes it a little difficult, or makes it less likely that 4 will spawn in, for instance. It does do a count in the vicinity, and it checks to see how many blazes are already there. Your best bet is if there are 0 blazes in the area. I think in that case it checks, I want to say 16 blocks. Something like that. Anyway, all this information is in the wiki if you want to dig into it. But so there you go. That's the nether. I'm completely done with the nether. I got my 8 blaze rods and I got the hell out, and I could, you know, disable my nether portal at this point. I don't need nothing. And I did end up with 11 ender pearls. That's, it's not terrible, but it's certainly not great at this point. I'm way under on my quota for ender pearls here. The good news is I've got nowhere to go but up in future speedruns. I mean, I think getting 3 hours is very doable, easily doable, with just a moderate amount of luck, or maybe even just less bad luck. Want to use this last diamond for something. If I got to make a shovel, I may as well make a diamond shovel with that last diamond. As it turns out, later on I do happen to find a couple more diamonds. I didn't want to throw the diamond away. I didn't really have a good use for it, so I kept it and then I used it. I think if I had kept it, I could have actually probably made... No, I don't even think I had enough diamonds to make... I might have had enough diamonds to make diamond pants. Instead, and here I'm just trying to get a little more iron, I believe. No? Yeah, I'm trying to get a little more iron so that I can make the anvil and combine my bows. And look what we found. A bunch more irons. Take it upstairs, smelt it, off we go. And as always, having a little extra flint doesn't hurt. I forget at this point whether I actually had more feathers or flint. I usually go back and forth, and since I kind of use them up as I go, because I want to, well, certainly when I head to the nether, I need some arrows. There's no two ways about it. You've got to have at least a few arrows. Blazes if you can soften up a blaze with even a single arrow before you get close to them, that makes a huge difference. I don't really use arrows in the overworld, though. I got no reason, I mean, except for the occasional skeleton that's harassing me, and I just want to take him out without worrying about the spam that I'm going to get if I try melee. So, digging through the gravel also has the added benefit of occasionally you'll find an additional ore deposit, an additional vein of some valuable material like I did here. Well, that isn't a vein, really. Doesn't count. But anyway, I got one free iron. Don't cost nothing. Okay, 2 hours and 50 minutes-ish. That, to me, says we are on the second half of day 9. Yeah, and I guess I've sort of been trying to account for the fact that I had a little bit of an intro, but it was only like 30 seconds, so... And then another maybe 10 or 15 seconds to generate the world. So, yeah, I think that's correct. So now, I am literally just desperate for ender pearls. I am ready to head out to the stronghold. If I had the ender pearls, I would have probably already done it. But without the ender pearls, there's no point in going off to the stronghold. Because, God forbid, I find the stronghold and it's in the middle of an ocean biome. Or a jungle biome. I don't even know which is worse. At least in jungle biome, I could potentially get an enderman here and there. Get nothing in the ocean biome unless you go underground. So yeah, I don't want to rely on being able to pick up a couple ender pearls on the way. That might not happen. Still, I think I'm getting close. I just need really a little bit of extra pearls here. Just basically an average night of 2 pearls, and I think that would get me to 14 maybe? Lost track. Hey, creeper. What's up? Creeper's got a creep. The guy in gold armor. I wouldn't really want his armor at this point, unless it was magical. And some of the magical stuff is, like, highly magical. I think I've gotten projectile protection 4 on dropped items. And even if it is really, really worn down, you can still do some good things with even a little bit of high enchantment. I'm going to try desert number 2. And I don't honestly know exactly how these guys despawn, and it's possible I could have just run around desert number 1, and by the time I got back to where my little base was, maybe those are completely different mobs. I don't even know. And again, I don't know that anyone really knows, but I figure going to a new area is always good, because that way there's no chance that you've already sort of kind of blown your load as far as determining which mobs are present. As you move into new areas, mobs are generated just outside of your range of perception, and at least a small number of them are going to end up being the guys you want to find. So, and as you can see, I've been running all night, every night, pretty much. Doing a lot of jumping. I won't say I miss a lot of easy jumps. My parkour was not strong on this particular day, but that was a good one. Using up a lot of... I mean, basically, the food bar is going down about as quickly as it can, short of constant combat. Sprinting plus running really takes a toll, but with the food that I had no problem at all. No concerns regarding food, so it was well worth it. And, you know, I guess that's why they call it a speed run, because you're hauling ass the whole damn time. Hey, why don't you meet Mr. Cactus, dummy? And I believe that was my magic bow. Whoa! Pissing him off. I hope I make it. That's how you be a badass. And this is lucky because I had a backstop. I had this layer of sand behind me. Otherwise, I would have really panicked right there. If he had knocked me into the Enderman, and especially if he had a magic bow, which I did not have the time to even think about looking to see whether he had a magic bow. And it's not easy to tell at that distance. But I knew that no matter what he had, he couldn't knock me into the Enderman. So I was pretty content with that. I got lucky on that one. Any of the other bitch shelters around here, and I would have been knocked right out into the open. And God forbid he had a bow of knockback. Jesus. So yeah, another night, another couple of ender pearls. Just eking away my existence, ender pearl by ender pearl. Desperate for even one more lucky break along the way. I didn't do that enough, but every once in a while you just kind of want to do a 360 on the off chance, especially if you keep your crosshairs right on the horizon, you can piss off a guy you can't even see. Endermen, as far as I know, have no limit to the range with which they will get pissed off. And so sometimes you can get lucky by having a guy teleport into you. Now that could be a blessing or a curse depending on your situation, but if you can get to a bitch shelter, you've got quite a good chance of taking that guy out and having him not even hurt you. Again, I could have gone toe-to-toe out in the open with these guys. I've done it plenty, and look at that. So yeah, my luck is turning as far as these guys dropping pearls. It kind of evened out, but unfortunately it was kind of lopsided towards the end of the speed run, but still. And this is, you know, we're still in the sun-up phase, so still technically it's night. We're in that last minute and a half of the night's 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes is sundown, then you have 7 minutes of night, then you have the minute and a half of sun-up. And I don't know where it officially happens, but somewhere in here it becomes daytime, and you can kill an Enderman after the sun comes up, just barely. If you're like right on top of him and you keep hitting him, he will continue to be aggro to you, and he will behave normally. He will behave like an Enderman at night. But after a certain point, especially if he teleports away, he's just going to lose interest in you, and then he's going to just... I mean, I've literally run around for at least 3 minutes. You know, Enderman teleports, I run over to him, he teleports again to somewhere else, I run over to him, he teleports again to somewhere else, I go over to him. And then eventually he just teleports over the horizon or something. So after the sun comes up, it can kind of be a lost cause, even if there's a guy standing right next to you. And I forget if I mentioned this or not, but if you hit them in the feet, they will not teleport. If you hit an Enderman in the face or the chest, they are likely to teleport. So we're at 13 Ender Pearls now. That's like barely enough to make it happen. That's yeah, that's if you're lucky, that will get you to the stronghold and allow you to open up the portal, but that is a best case scenario. I guess technically a best case scenario would be 12, and then the one doesn't break, the one that you throw up in the air. But you're going to have to throw your pearl in the air probably at least 5 times, and the chance of breakage is 20%. So, you know, do the math. It's not good. And the last thing in the world you want is to be standing at that ender portal, or the end portal, with 11 pearls and 12 slots. Or 11 eyes and 12 slots. So I'm a little desperate for... actually, when I went down earlier, I was looking mostly for gravel to do this because I knew I needed more flint to make more arrows. I had some feathers, but I just couldn't make the arrows without the flint. So I got lucky. I picked up some iron along the way, but it was mostly the flint I was looking for. And that's what I'm doing here as well. So, with this exciting activity in progress, I will wrap up this episode, and we will resume right after this. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.